It's your boy Base the Kid. It is the delectable October. Danny will be here later on, but for right now, you've got the pleasure of us too. So hopefully, that will satiate any hunger that you may have. Red, how are you?
All right, like always, all the better for seeing you. And guys, please, if you're watching this, if you can see it, I think there was a couple of glitches last time we were on. Wish Base a happy birthday. Base, you know what? You look about 30.
Sometimes.
Yeah, but you
There's
look
some days
about.
I feel like I could maybe pull off a little 33, somewhere around there.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I think you look about 30. You look nowhere near your age, but happy birthday to you. I was looking forward to the birthday shenanigans in the WhatsApp, but I never got what I wanted, so I guess I'm gonna have to wait for that for a couple of weeks. Who knows? It could be this weekend. We get the eagle
I
has landed in the
No
WhatsApp.
comment. Look, appreciate the shouts out. Yes, everyone. It was my birthday yesterday. I've turned the big 40.
Can't believe
It
it.
was inevitable, but hey, I'm here. Luckily, as Reda said, I'm not quite looking that age yet.
Nah.
So long may that continue. But yeah, appreciate it, Red. Thank you very much, and shout out to everyone in the chat who is making their way in to the stream. Um, Right, so people, Red is here. Unfortunately, she's here for a good time, but not a long time. She's got some
Always a good
work
time though.
that needs to be done in a little while. So we're gonna kind of kick on, and then when Danny comes in, we're just sort of gonna do a. It's almost like a flip over, a nice little mix and segue. So, um, I'll leave it with you to start off with. Which part? Where would you want to go first? Because there was a lot of interesting stuff over the weekend. There's been some interesting stuff yesterday and today. Where would you like to start? Let's talk about it.
You know what, Base? What I'd like to do is because obviously it feels really weird, but I haven't been to any press events for ages because I've been tied up with other stuff. But I
Hmm.
know that you went down to the boxer event down at Marnie Swindell's gym
Yeah.
today, and I just want to know what it's like. Is there any difference between like the BBC and the Sky setup? I just, to be fair, I know I went to Clark and God, Jamie TKV.
Mhm.
But what was this one like?
No, do you know what? To be fair, because it wasn't like a press conference and anything. It was like a public workout. So it
Yeah,
was like a media
okay.
day with public workout. So there wasn't a huge difference. It was everyone kind of got their little slot to go along the sort of the back row where they've got the little poster. Everyone put set up their cameras or their
Yeah.
phones or whatever, and then you just try to get people to sort of come over. And to be fair and to be totally honest, in terms of the level of I guess maybe access. This one actually felt like back in the day, like that you didn't have to sort of fight for anyone to come to see you. No one was trying to dip off and run away. It's like, oh, do you want to do a few minutes? Yeah, sure, come on, let's go over. And it was just like that. So, there was no one that necessarily made you feel like, oh, they were top brass. Now that being said, Adam Azim, I believe he stayed upstairs for the majority of the time doing um he must have been doing some media up there. But
Mm.
by the time he went to do his workout or whatever, I had to leave, and the battery on my phone was dying anyway. So I didn't get to see that. But in terms of everyone else, like Fran Hennessy was very personable, pleasurable as she
Yeah.
normally is. Gladys Kraus was doing the rounds, and Ben was sort of pushing him heavy. He was in a lot of the actual interviews with Gladys, so I did one with them. So you'll see
Oh,
that
brilliant.
on the channel tomorrow.
Awesome.
Um, she's obviously always a pleasure to speak to. Lovely woman. I spoke with Joel Kadua as well. Tunde Jai's charge 10-0. We had a brief chat. I had a nice little chat with Dan as well, Savage Dan. I had to ask him some of the questions that Ben wouldn't want to answer, but Dan, shout out to Dan. He gave the right answers, to be fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do what we can. But it felt, in terms of access, it felt like the old days, and
Oh,
I'd like if it went back to that and people weren't afraid to have conversations again.
I like that. Do you think that you learned anything from today? Was there anything? I know obviously your videos are coming out. I'm not asking for any particular spoilers, but
Hmm.
is there any? Can we have a little bit of leakage? Was there anything that you can let go of us? I mean, did you? I mean, one of the things, all right then, one of the things that I was really concerned about is Gradus Kraus. I think that's a really good signing.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a good fighter, great potential. I've watched him spar loads of times, so I've been around him outside of the boxing ring. Obviously, he's got you know, Peter Fury said it's a really good deal, and for Peter Fury to open his mouth and say that, it must have been, because you know what he's like. He doesn't mince his words.
Mm-hmm.
What did you get about that? I mean, literally, Ben's shoulder to shoulder with him, following him around, doing dual interviews with him.
Yep.
Tactics, potentially building a fight with Ben's previous fighter, Ben Whitaker. Did you get that kind of vibe from it? Because that would have been the first thing I would have said to Ben. Is this a revenge tour for you, Ben Shalom?
Yeah, no. Personally, I didn't get the kind of vibe that he's trying to replace Whitaker, because if we're going to be totally
Yeah,
honest,
you can't.
Kraus can't, just because he's not British in that sense. And you know how a lot of us, well, a lot of people generally, they are very patriotic slash
Yeah,
xenophobic to their own. But he was making a big deal of, this is, the new signing, and we are really happy to have him here, and we're going to push him, well. So after the 31st, I did kind of ask the kind of activity, and I think Grady said he wanted to have like 5 or 6 fights this year.
yeah,
I don't know if that in itself will be feasible, considering his he would be going on to sort of like the 8 and the 10 rounders, if they can actually get him that. But he's ambitious, and he said that this year, he wants this year to kind of be his almost the showcase year, the coming out type party, and then 2027, or towards the end of this year, I think he's looking at, all right, that's when I'm going to make my mark. So we'll see.
Was Izzy Asif there by any chance?
I didn't see him. No,
Because I
he may
want,
have been there, but I didn't see him.
yeah, because he's got obviously still got he's got now got managerial interest in him, because obviously it's Izzy Asif that's brought him through on the GBM shows. We can't deny that fact. So I thought he might have been there as well
He
today.
very may be. He may have been. I just didn't see him. But there was, to be honest, there was a lot of people that were sort of in and around that I wasn't really sure, or there was people in clusters in this
Yeah,
side, that side, and you know me, I'm one track. Whoever I'm going to talk
you
to,
focus
that's
on
it.
them.
Otherwise, I'm not really interested.
Yeah,
But he very well could have been there. There was a lot of there was obviously, there was quite a large sort of Asian community in the building, with Adam Azim as well. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. He does bring quite a few with him, so that's good and that's positive. It's nice to hear that it's very reminiscent of 2021, when we all started going to the shows. 2021, 2022, the birth of Boxer as it was with Sky Sports. So it's nice to feel that nostalgia again. Hopefully, that echoes into the press conferences. Like you said, today it was a bit of a public workout, a media day. Let's hope we get that at the press conference. And I can understand their strategy will be to talk to as much media as you can. You
Mm,
can't shy away now. We need to push the brand. So them hiding or can't be bothered, it's really not going to wash,
yeah.
because they've got to start selling themselves.
Yep, I could definitely agree. And but the good thing is, it did seem like they wanted to.
Good.
Whereas maybe before, remember when we used to see people that, they like, you can tell they kind of want to talk to you, but they may be under orders not to. These ones definitely seem like, no, 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 we're happy to do all of
That's
this.
good.
We want our face all over the place. So yeah.
Yeah, that's really positive. I'm happy for them. Are you going to the show? I think I might try and go.
Um, Unfortunately, I did want to, but I can't, for the pure reason that day is going to be like watch along gold for me. The Royal Rumble is in Riyadh this year for WWE. That's going to be on at
Ah,
5 p.m. So that's prime time for me. The Boxer show, the Kelly and Murtazaliev show,
that's in
then
Newcastle,
Tio
yeah.
and Tio and Shakur. So yeah, I don't really want to
You
miss
know
those
what?
opportunities.
Yeah, it's a bit of a marathon night, isn't it? In
Yeah,
saying that, I'll probably try and get to the media event for that, so I can see if this follows on to the media. But then, more than likely, because of the Newcastle show as well, I'll probably end up doing a watch along anyway.
yeah.
So we'll just see how it goes. But that's positive. Where do we want to go, base?
Well,
Do
I
we want to go
think,
to Germany or USA?
what, let's go to the US, just because even though Germany was on our time zone, the
Mm,
US actually had one of ours. or specifically, more specifically, one of yours, because I know that you're very deep into the Smith gym. Um,
Yeah, I like
the
I like
card,
Dalton.
I managed to find a perfect stream of the card, no buffering or anything, which goes to show just how little people were actually watching it to begin with. But all of the fights, they basically, it was a Puerto Rico versus Mexico like undercard. That was the entire undercard, and then you had Puerto Rico versus Great Britain in the main event. And Puerto Rico won all of the bouts except the
Ooh.
main event. So imagine. Um, Talk about the fight. What? Because I know that you would have seen it on YouTube afterwards, because the full fight was out a couple an hour
Yeah, I
after it
watched. Yeah.
finished. What was your thoughts?
Watching the full fight and the pleasure of it sometimes with the American commentary. Usually, when it's American v American, it's very factual. It's kind of like, yeah, this is what the fighter is doing, and potentially this fighter can do this to do greater work and maybe win the round. That's the kind of feedback that you get from the American commentary. Um, I was absolutely horrified by one of the commentators. I don't know who it was. One of them was telling you what was happening, and that was
That was
fine because you
Corey.
can
That
kind
was
of,
Corey Erdman.
okay, brilliant, because you could kind of follow what was going on and you could see the punches matching up with what he was saying. But then there was another gentleman, and he did not tell you anything that Dalton was doing. He was telling you what he wanted um, Matthias to do or what Matthias was doing. He was talking about shots that weren't necessarily landing from Matthias but were thrown. And I'm glad I had my eyes on the screen to watch it, all the way through until the stoppage. Um, because yeah, it was literally it was one that was fair and one that was extremely biased.
Yeah,
But
I heard that. To be fair, to be honest, I didn't listen to it. I watched
yeah,
it.
I
I
did.
heard
I
it, but I
wasn't doing it
wasn't
intentionally.
paying attention like that
Yeah,
really.
I
But I've
was.
seen quite a few people make that assertion, and I don't doubt it, because obviously, look, it's fresh promotion. They're going to be heavily biased towards their guy.
Mm,
Um, they needed him to win. They even wanted, they needed him to win.
yeah.
Dalton Smith winning that has messed up a lot of things on that side of this the the Atlantic. So yes, I get it. I will go back and watch it again, to be honest. But I've heard multiple people say that, and I'm not surprised.
But the fight itself was really good. I think with Dalton, and I suppose he echoed this in his post-fight interview. He was fighting fire with fire. There was times when he was boxing really well. He was keeping at a distance, but then he always ended up trying to get on the inside, and it was literally fire with fire because Matthias, the shots that he was landing, they were some twist your head to the side shots as well, which was good to watch. It was a very well matched fight. Dalton went out there and did what he needed to do. I think if looking back now over the probably from about rounds 3 or 4, it looked like Matthias started to just get a little bit tired. I don't know if he was tense when he come out, whether obviously the shots that he was missing were starting to catch up with him, but he started to slow down through tiredness, and I think Dalton saw that and capitalized on it. They were both counter punches at sometimes as well, which was nice. They were both throwing at the same time as well. But Dalton always seemed to have the crisper combinations of shots. It was
Mm.
just crisp and more um, intentional. They were
Yeah,
landing, they were working. It was nice, and it was almost like Matthias would throw a combination, Smith would start his combination, but he finish it. Matthias would throw a shot, and Smith would finish it after. It was a real good fight to watch. And then obviously you saw what happened. I think it was round 5.
yeah.
Legs went monopolized with. I think it was an overhand on the jaw, on the cheek of
No, it was
Matthias.
Temple.
Apologies, and that was it. Then it was curtains. He went down, and it was a great win. Bearing in mind, Matchroom lost the purse bid. Sometimes you think, oh, they care about that fighter if they lose the purse bid. But Eddie and Frank Smith were there supporting him all the way through it. Um, and then it was really, to me, what was very touching to me is listening to Grant Smith
Yeah,
emotional speech about what he's achieved with his son. Dalton said my dad and I learned boxing together. So in other words, they were both inexperienced at the sport, and his dad's been with him every step of the way, and has gone through the ranking system, as it were, starting from the English, the this, the that, go the way until he gets the WBC super lightweight world championship belt. What an achievement! So it was a beautiful ending. Commiserations to Matthias. There was obviously a lot of mud around that leading up to the fight. But my God, am I glad it happened? I was glad the fight happened, but I did have concerns for Dalton going into the fight, if I'm honest.
No, I hear that. And thank you very much, Virtuoso, for the super chat and letting us know. So Raul Marquez was the, I guess, the color commentator there. Look,
Ah,
the fight itself, the first couple of rounds, I thought it was Dalton was doing a good job, but I didn't feel like the fight was like that nice of a fight in the first sort of two rounds. I felt like when it got from round three, round four, and sort of that way, I was like, okay, now we're starting to get into that territory. But that's where it also looked like Dalton in the third round. I feel like he lost that round quite heavily,
mm,
and it was a case of in that moment I thought, oh, is this where the tide's starting to turn? Is he starting to, because he was starting to ship a lot of like those big short punches that Matthias does, like the,
yeah,
not any big loaded up, but it's one, two, three to the head, all in
yeah,
succession, and then he's sort of coming, but he's coming back and he's still engaging. You think, okay, but you doing that normally, that's how he gets people. You go into the, and then that's when you start to get tired because all you're doing is trying to throw the big shots to keep him off
mm,
you. He's just walking forward. But I feel like the first two rounds where he was doing the clinching
yes.
and the
There's a lot of
and
tension.
the pushing back, I feel that was actually taking a lot more out of Matthias's legs than he probably realized at the
Yeah,
time.
to be fair,
Not to
yeah.
mention he's been, look, I think personally he is slightly outgrowing that 140 division. I definitely feel like it would
Who,
benefit him.
Matthias?
Yeah, Matthias. I think him moving up would probably be beneficial. Now he's 33. He's been making 140 for like 9 years, 10 years, whatever it is as a pro. It's one of those things where you can kind of tell maybe the train, all the training
Mm,
and having to get down there, and then not necessarily being the most disciplined guy outside of the ring as well.
yeah,
Not saying that he's
yeah,
he's
yeah.
like balloons up in weight or whatever, but he's not, he's a guy that likes to have a good time. So he probably needs those additional 7 pounds to
Mm,
sort of work with, and that may benefit him. But I reckon him getting this, and I'm not even going to call it a knockout because to me he was stopped. I don't think he was. If I'm going to be honest, I don't think the stoppage at the time was correct. Yes,
serious.
yeah, he got up on the seven.
He did.
He stumbled a bit on the eight. He did
Mm-hmm.
stumble back a bit, but then obviously he's
Mm-hmm.
bouncing up his legs. His eyes are clear. He's nodded to the ref to say like I'm good to go, and the refs just decided okay because of the stumble. But I'm like, it's a title fight. Like
Well,
he is the main guy,
mm,
really and truly. If the roles were reversed the other way, like I can, I don't think Eddie would have been happy if the ref said that he didn't think Dalton was able to continue after that exact same scenario. Yes, he took a couple of big shots, but he's done that his entire career. um I'm not saying that Dalton wouldn't have then iced him in the next minute.
yeah.
He very well may have, but I
You think they
think
should
in
have
the
let it run?
moment when it was, because he even said it. I did a video, and then I heard his comments afterwards. Even he said, "I thought I was fine. I was ready to carry on. I didn't like the fact that the referee nothing I can do. I've never ever thought I'd get knocked out or whatever. Etc. etc. So you get the little bit of the shock there. But me personally, I do think it didn't have to. The ref didn't have to wave it off there, but there's been a lot worse. So there's certain times when we're like, oh, that's awful, that's horrible. This like I'm not
Mm,
gonna be like that on this one. I just think he should have. He probably did have enough to be able to be given,
carry on.
yeah, just the opportunity. All right, let's see, because and could
How long
it?
was left in the round? Do you remember?
Um, I think it was only about 50 seconds or
So
something
you
like
could
that.
still let the
Yeah.
round run out then,
I mean,
at least.
what did they normally do in New York? One of the first things they do, if you do the little stumble, they say, "Okay, walk to me or walk to the
Yeah,
left, walk to the.
true.
They could have given him one of those and then said, no, all right, it's done. I just felt it was a little bit quick, but I get it. He did take some big punches.
Mm,
That notwithstanding, brilliant display by Dalton. Like I mean, he said, "Oh, after the third round, I realized he couldn't hurt me, so I said I'm going to step to him." I don't really believe that because in that third and that fourth, he was taking some shots
big
whereby he
shot.
was wobbling all over the place. But
Yeah,
he
and
just,
falling into him.
yeah. But I just feel like he had a certain intangible in him at that moment to whereby there's nothing you are going to be able to do that is going to stop me today. Like
Yes.
it, and sometimes no matter how good you are as a boxer, no matter how tough
Yes.
you are, someone just on that day they just want it more and they're
There you
prepared,
go.
and in their soul they're prepared to give more of
There you
themselves than
go.
you are subconsciously.
Yeah,
And I just feel like it
100%.
was one of those moments for
Yeah,
Dalton.
I totally agree. That hunger. Imagine to go out in not in somebody else's backyard, booze from the crowd as well when he went in that ring, and still come out like that. You
Yeah.
gotta respect that, man.
Most definitely, most definitely. No, shout out to Dalton Smith. Shout out to Grant. Obviously, I
Hill
know
City.
Sonny was up there as well, Eddie and everyone, and I guess that kind of led very nicely into the Adam Azim Media Day that we had today, because then the talk now is
Oh,
okay. So what about that fight? And I don't know what the voluntary will be that Matchroom will probably look at, but it's quite clear right now then who is the quote unquote who would be the A side if you're going to do the A side B side politics. It's quite clear as well who's got the name or whatever. Ben, if you've heard a couple of his interviews today, or if you
no.
hear him out, and he will make mention to the fact that um, you know, he deserved to have his crowning night on a platform that everyone could see. He made one of those ones.
You
So,
got you put the dig
um,
in. Fair
yeah, he said
play.
the fact that he said I've never heard someone win a world title to such silence before in my life. And he said that
Oh wow.
he said that that Dalton was let down massively. I'm assuming that's alluding to the fact that
The
Matchroom
purse.
didn't do more for the purse bid. But to be fair,
He can't really talk about purse bids though, can he?
well, I mean, he didn't directly say that, but that's what he's
That's
kind
an
of alluding
indirect
to.
though.
But here's the thing: Matchroom couldn't have done any more for that person. I think what they offered was well above market value. I think Fresh, for whatever their reason, overpaid. And also, you've got to remember, Matchroom being the businessmen, the balancing the books guys that they are, Dalton's only getting, what was it, like 25-30%. Like, how much do you really want to give away to the other side, knowing that your guy's not gonna get much from it? So they did what they did. I felt like their bid was good enough. It was, look, one there was like 1.71 or 1.79
Okay.
to 1.9. It's 100,000. Um, I haven't really got. I don't think they were let down. And look, they backed him the entire way.
Yeah, which is good.
Um, I mean, the only thing that maybe you say you possibly advise them against after the atypical finding and all of that stuff, but ultimately that was Dalton and their team's decision. The NSAC or NISAC as they call them, they said, look, there's nothing out of the ordinary here. There were tests, for everyone to, there were tests beforehand, and there were tests directly after, which all came back clean as well.
Okay.
So everything was very consistent with a contamination, either within the test or within the supplement that they
Interesting.
use, which is why obviously it was allowed to go ahead. They was
Fair enough.
well under the threshold that they have, which is like, I think it was like
Yeah.
0.04, and the threshold is like 0.1. So yeah, and then from what I heard, there was like a test the week before that, and there was a test like 2 days after,
So they were
and
stringent.
yeah, and both of those tests were clean, and then obviously had to do subsequent follow-up testing after that, which was all clean as
Okay.
well. So yeah, I mean, I did hear there was an issue with the gloves though. That
Yeah.
the team banned some gloves that he wanted to wear, and
Mm.
who knows what they could have been. But Yeah, look, ultimately it doesn't matter. Dalton is now the king of the castle. He's definitely the king of the 140s in the UK. Adam, even if Adam beats Lemos, like he's not really gonna get to that level unless he now gets a belt from a credible guy, and it can't be an elevation from a, for a vacant anything. He has to win it. He has
Oh,
to. If he do what Dalton does, then he can't really claim to be on his level. He's got to. I'm not saying he's got to go away, but he's got
pathways,
to.
yeah,
He's got to beat the champion.
yep,
You can't be in an eliminator and then the guy vacates and you get elevated. That one won't really wash in the terms of who is really worth it. But yeah, it was a good night. It was a good night.
yeah.
With that being said, Red, because I know that you are sort of prem a little bit, let's talk about Ajit Caballo very quickly. Him and Damian Kaniba. Uh, what was your thoughts on the 3 rounds of action that was there?
Well, for the very first time, base, you'll be very pleased with me. I actually wrote down both of their names, drew a line down the middle, and did my 1 to 12. And I don't know where the paper is now. I've probably thrown it away. I think I gave round one to Damien, and then I gave round two, even though it was very close, to Ajit. And then obviously we know what happened in round three.
Mhm.
Now I don't. I just for clarification, and I need to know if I'm on the same page. Did you score it?
Yes, I did.
And what did you get?
I gave Damian both of the first 2 rounds,
Damn it.
but I was no, but it was the second round was closer,
Close.
but I felt like he was still doing the better work. But what I could see is that was starting to get to him from that moment, and
Yes.
I was mentioning, oh, first round he was cooking, but I can already see this is starting to turn unless he can find a shot, but obviously knowing that he has knowing his knockout rates and who he's beaten and who he hasn't, I kind of knew that it was gonna be a long night unless he could fully get the respect. But I just didn't look good in the first round. Second round, he didn't look good for the first half of it. From sort of the second half of the last third through
Yeah.
to then the third is when you thought you could clearly see the rust coming off of the
Coming
engine.
off.
That's
Yeah.
what it looked like to me.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he did what he needed to do. I do think again it was another fight that was stopped too soon. I understand why Mark Lyson jumped in, but Damien was still throwing back. A
Yeah.
lot of the
Yeah.
shots that Ajit was throwing, he was actually kind of blocking. They was coming off the glove, but they were all on the blind side of the ref. So all he could really see was him sort of moving, getting, and looking like he's getting hit, which I
Mm,
understand. And he did take one very clean right hand, but you could tell he was very upset when the fight got stopped because he was still on his feet. He would have
yep.
been either ahead or drawing on the cards. He was still in it for how much longer we don't know,
Mm,
but I do think that yeah, it was stopped prematurely. But again, it was one of those fights where I've seen a lot worse. It's not one of the ones that I'm gonna go sort of go to bat for.
yeah. I think I agree with you. Obviously, our scoring is just slightly different, but I'm glad I've done it, so I'll probably do it again.
Please do.
I thought Knible was nice and rangy. I
Mhm.
liked his long levers and he knew how to use them. And I think at first Ajit struggled to get inside of that range. He really did struggle. But then after a while, I think he found the right distance to start laying in the body shots, and then you know what he's going to be up to because you know Ajit's style. You know he likes to attack the body, then come up through the middle. And like I said, that was starting potentially to come through before he got the stoppage. I don't know why I haven't remembered that it was an early stoppage. I don't know why,
Mhm.
but yeah, he got the W. And obviously, we saw Lawrence Okoli out there as well, because obviously that's a fighter that Lawrence Okoli said that he wants to fight.
Yeah, he says he's
So,
been calling him out for the last 4 months, or that he wanted the fight long before the Kaniba fight got made. So
mm,
who knows?
yeah, we'll
But you
see
saw
what
Tony
happens.
Yoka was there, Philip Hergovich was there. He didn't
Yes,
go on camera, but Hergovich was there as well. There,
yep,
so it looks like they're all trying to
food.
swarm and try and scurry around for Ajit. And look, one thing that we can say now categorically is he is a big star and a big draw in Germany.
Hmm.
Um, George Warren is upset. He's like, "Oh, we undersold, we underplayed the arena. We should have gone somewhere bigger. We just
Hmm.
wasn't sure." And they're like, yeah, they so they sold that in what, a week, 2 weeks. They're like, yeah, we could have done a bigger gate. Listen to the crowd. From what everything I've heard from people who were there is that the noise was something that no, they haven't
Like
witnessed in a
football, it's
while.
like a football match.
Yeah. So yeah, he's definitely got his supporters, and he's just also made himself even more attractive potentially to someone like Alexander Usyk or whomever might be looking for those, either the big paydays or the people that are quote unquote credible.
Mm.
So yeah, what we'll do, actually, I got an okay. So we're gonna bring Danny in, who's just
Danny.
there he is. What I want to do, we'll ask. Actually, no, Danny, I'm gonna drop you back out a second. Red, let's talk about Moses. While let Danny set
Oh
up his
yeah,
thing,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
because that's the last topic for this one. So yeah, talk about just that in your opinion, like what's kind of gone on, and just what's your thoughts on the whole card sort of being moved. Yeah, just any general thoughts you got.
Yeah, it's mad because it's so close to the fight. I mean, I even booked annual leave off, work to make sure I attend that press conference. I do like Queensbury's Magnificent Sevens. I do. I like that card because they are genuinely very competitive cards, and it's almost like every fighter on there actually know who they are for a change. So I, for one, was definitely looking forward to it. But unfortunately, injuries happen. Wherever there's an injury, there's always going to be a conspiracy. And I kind of like leave the conspiracies. The fact is, they pulled the whole card. Loads of people are going to be miffed. If people are traveling, hopefully they can get their hotel money back. The tickets are still going to be valid. I know that the tickets were flying, it was doing particularly well. I spoke to some insider, gave me some numbers and stuff, but that should follow forward. And if I'm honest, base, even though it isn't next week, it just anticipates it even more for the end of March. So I'm not as gutted as a lot of the fans are, if that makes sense.
Do you wanna hear something? And
Go,
I
go.
might be wrong here, but I'm
Nah, go.
almost certain that this was said to me earlier on today.
Go on.
Guess who else has got a card now on March the 28th?
Not boxer.
Oh, yeah,
Serious.
there's some announcements coming. I think the 28th of March was one of the dates I heard earlier on. Um, so
They can't get.
I mean that would be very interesting if that did happen again. But yeah, it's uh,
Oh.
yeah, it's one of them ones.
You know what, base? You know what I can't get my head around is obviously we all operate off the same calendar.
Mhm.
Don't get me wrong. I understand that certain people just won't work together. They can't work together. It doesn't work for whatever reason. But you should have like a PR correspondence in charge of like fight dates, etc. That, I don't know, find out who's potentially got whatever dates and try and work something out. The good thing is about boxing is you can have it on a Friday night or a Saturday night, probably pushing it on a Sunday. But a Friday night, Saturday night, you can do that. So, say, for example, if one person's got the 28th booked up, okay, we'll run the 27th. Why not? What's the issue? Just do things like that rather than clashing every other week. Because you've
I
got the
spoke to
30.
them. I spoke to both Ben and Dan about that
Mad.
today, and I think I was the only person who did. Like I said, I got different answers from both, but I feel like at least I feel like Dan's answers were a lot more sincere, and ultimately, but he also said, "Look, it's also a boy above my pay grade. I don't hear
Yeah.
anything about these things." So yeah, when you guys see the interviews, I definitely, that was one of my biggest thing, was to ask why is there all of these
So many
clashes with
clashes.
so few dates. It's not like if you was doing like an event every
Yeah.
week or every other week, then fine. But
Yeah.
when you had so little dates,
They're
it just looked very
sporadic.
suspect that all of them just happen to be on the same dates as cards that are already been announced. And this one, even though if you think about it, they said, "Oh, we got March 28th." So I'm assuming yes, they probably have had that in the pipeline. But Queensbury have now, because they've put out their thing, they've now already said, "Oh, we've got the gate."
They've
So
brought the
even though
date.
you probably
Yeah.
had that date from last month or the month
It's who
before,
puts it
they
out
got their
first.
thing out before you. So
Yeah.
now people are going to think that you're clashing again, which
But
is
have you
unfortunate.
noticed though, and it's a fair point that you've made there, because Eddie will always say, even though he hasn't necessarily announced the cards, he will announce dates. and it's
Mm.
almost like he's rubber stamping the dates before anything is confirmed. So I
Yeah.
do agree with that base, because Eddie's done it loads of times, and I was like, "Oh, who's on the cards?" And he's like, "Oh, we'll let you know what the card is," but he throws the dates out like he's rubber stamping that in your mind. They're my dates.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not hard, is it?
No. But yeah, they, like I said, when you guys see the video, like Dan gave me some good reasons as to why some of these clashes have happened. To be fair, and
Right.
I respect the reasons and I believe them. So yeah, I'll get all of those videos. Well, not all of them, but some will be uploaded tomorrow. Some will be uploaded on Thursday,
Yeah.
uh, and maybe Friday. So
Who are you going to put out first?
I will put out. I'll put them out in the order I done them. To be fair, so
Right.
yeah, Ben Shalom and Gladys Kraus will be the first
Right.
video, and then Joel. I might do. Yeah, I think do Joel could do as one second, then Dan, then Fran Hennessy, and then Marnie at the end. I think I've did one other one as well, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, I was active. I was more active than I usually am
I
in
like it.
these things.
It's
But
what we want to hear. Activity is key and all that.
very true. But Danny, you got your technicals out the way.
Yeah. I don't know what was going on with the volume. I couldn't hear you or
Yeah, because you know Star Fox was killing you in the chat, right?
was he? Oh my
He kills
god.
everyone in the chat, to be fair to him.
Yeah, shout out to Star Fox. Well,
Yeah.
no, listen, Red, I know that you need to get off. So if there's anything that you want to say just to close up, and then me and Danny will wrap it up for.
No, just everyone that's here, everyone that's in the chat, etc. If you've not already, just subscribe to all of our channels. Please check out the content that Basic Kid's going to have coming out in the next couple of days. I'm very intrigued, especially the interview that I'm looking forward to the most is Savage Dan, if I'm going to be brutally honest, because that seems to be where you're probably getting some real key points and information that will potentially make us understand stuff. So, guys, please get on Basic Kids channel. But yeah, I think that's it from me. I'm gonna disappear. I'm gonna love you and leave you.
But October, before you go, just to let you know, I had the same scorecard as you.
Did you? Oh, I thought you was gonna tell me about the Americans cutting on to Richard Riakporn, and I just don't want to hear about that.
Oh no.
Yeah, let's not upset my spirit tonight.
Okay. Well,
Anyway, love
shout
you and
out,
I'll
Red.
leave you.
Speak
Thank
to you
you.
next week.
Thank you for the
Adios.
bless.
There we go. All right. Yes, Danny. Shout out. So, let's kind of do it in reverse. So we'll do the topics the same way we've done them, but we'll do it in the back end for you to get your saying to everything. So the first thing I was talking about was ultimately Moses Atalma and the postponement / cancellation of the Magnificent Seven card to March the 28th. What's your thoughts on the injury? Obviously, no announcement or nothing has been sort of stated to us about what the injury is or how it happened. So yeah, just what's your sort of thoughts on that? And I guess the people that had to sacrifice their Christmases for nothing at this point.
Yeah. Well, injuries happen. You know, these are things are unfortunate. The good thing is that Frank's rescheduled it for next month, but I think he would have had to anyway because the
Oh,
card.
it's March, not next month.
Oh, it's March. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Um, but I'm sure I knew he was going to have to reschedule it. He's not going to scrap the show when you've got a card like that stacked. I'm sure the tickets did very well. People would have made their arrangements coming up from various cities. This ain't just one of those local Manchester derby shows where you just get the locals coming in. So there will be some frustrated supporters. And as you said, I can imagine someone like Willie Hutchinson would have been really upset because, my baby needs milk, it needs feeding, as he keeps screaming. So, yeah, that's going to wind him up having to wait for his wages. But I think it's going to be a beneficial for someone like Jermaine Franklin, though, who has more time to train, more time to get sharp, get some extra, etc. So I think it will even make for hopefully a even better fight. So yeah.
Well, actually, but that being said, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure Jermaine is over here now. He came over. It would have been coming over this week. So
No, he's here.
yeah, that's what I thought. So now he's just adjusted to this time zone. Gonna have to go back unless he stays over here, but go back over to the States, readjust back to that time zone to come back. that's the ones where you feel like, okay, I wouldn't be surprised if like the performance is extremely flat because all of the traveling back and forth, which is obviously
Mm,
the biggest issue when you do have like the international fighters, and they say that, oh, I didn't really have the time to climatize or the change of food and everything like that.
yeah, but he's from like the Michigan area, which is Midwest, so it's not the West Coast flight.
No, it's on the East Coast
Yeah,
time zone. It's 5 hours. It's the same as New
yeah,
York and
yeah. But I know he's over. He's been sparring the one of the GB boys, Isaac Oko. I think he is related to Derek Chisora or something like that.
okay,
Or Chris Oko. No, sorry, he's Chris Oko's son. Sorry, not Derek Chisora. But yeah,
right.
he's been sparring with one of the GB super heavies. So yeah, and probably some other people as well. But I just seen a photo sent to me that he was sparring him. So yeah, he is here.
Oh, okay, yeah. I've shout out to Rahul. I saw him earlier on today. He says that Rico's told him that Jermaine's in Luton at the minute, so that's where he's been posted up.
Hmm.
Makes sense. Um, okay. Also, what we was just speaking about just before you came on was that there's 28th of March when they pushed it to. I believe that Boxer have said they've got a fight that's scheduled for that date as well. That's when I spoke to Ben Shalom earlier on today. Now I think it was the 20th. I haven't watched the video back, but I know he did say he had one in March, and I think the 28th was the date that he said. So if that is the case, that's yet another clash. Obviously this time we can't really blame Ben, I suppose, because they, even though they haven't announced it, like this, the card that Queensbury are putting on that day is not, that wasn't where it was originally scheduled for. But if that does happen, it's yet another clash. Kind of, what's your thoughts on? And do you think it's more than just coincidental at this point, or do you feel like all of the promoters are now trying to, or everyone's trying to sort of, cop off of each other?
But I do feel that when Ben was doing it, it just seemed very convenient. I think he was doing it purposely. Obviously, with this postponement, it's a good thing that you did actually go down to this um, presser with what the open day with Box to get that out, because if Frank's got ahead of it and announced it first, and then you hear maybe a few weeks later now Ben does it, then we're going to go, oh, Ben again. But he said that he's got something in the works already, so it's good. It's a good thing on his behalf that it doesn't look malicious this time. But when you have got three big promoters, there is going to be times where there is going to be clashes. So maybe this one's unfortunate, but we can't blame Ben this time because this was not Frank's original date. That was a free date, so to speak. So yeah, I can't really blame Ben on this one.
Although, could we put it, if he moves it to that date, does that then mean that he potentially had another card that he was going to put on that date anyway, and now he's got to find the date for that card? You know what I mean? Because if you've used that date, normally they like to earmark specific times to sort of do their events. Now he hasn't made, if I can remember correctly, I don't think that they've put out a card for February yet.
Hmm.
Queensbury, not that I can remember. So if that's the case, it's like, okay, so there's nothing in February. The next one would have had to have been March or maybe April, but you would think that they want to have at least one card a month, or one card sort of every month, or every other month.
Yeah, but it depends where the venue is. If they've rescheduled this for Manchester, I don't believe they would have gone to Manchester in March again for their next show. So if it's somewhere else, then then I can assume that they probably did have something scheduled for that particular venue and city, but they would have got their contract booked. But if it's just a reschedulement back in the same arena in Manchester, then no, I don't think that they had anything planned for that date up there again, because who else what they're going to do? I know Chisora was looking for his 50th fight, but that seems to not be. It seems to be a bit of a struggle to find anyone suitable right now. So I don't think he. But and I know he does like Manchester too. That's the only viable person they could have put in Manchester in March, in my opinion.
I hear it. I hear it. But yeah, there's no struggle for that 50th. I told you that. Yeah, I got the tweet. Like him and Fabio's gonna fight, man. That's gonna be the 50th fight.
That could,
It's
yeah,
gonna happen. I put the tweet out 3 months ago. Like, so I was the first person to yeah.
It makes sense, especially now. Well, yeah, remind me of saying why this makes sense in a little while, because I will, because it will kind of coincide with uh, the main event in Germany fight.
Okay. So, well, let's move to that now because that was what we were speaking about prior. I was saying to Red, look, Ajit has established himself as a draw. Now he's definitely a draw in Germany, which means that that's another territory that that's another territory that Usyk can look to sort of go to and make money from. He is the road warrior, as we all know him. What was your thoughts on sort of the event and stuff?
I thought it was a very good event. Seems sold out. The arena looked busy from even like the undercard thing. So I know they've been looking for a German sensation or a German star for a while. I know that we've had people in the past like Felix Sturm and Jürgen Bremer and Sven Otkar back in the day. And obviously we know about the Klitschko era. I know people like to talk bad about Vladimir Klitschko putting in the Dolphin, but what they don't talk about is how exciting and how much people did like Vitali Klitschko, because he was definitely all action and he was knocking people out for fun, and he weren't holding and doing the jab and hold. He was proper punching up bods. So yeah, but I know the last guy who was, I know Avni Yildirim had a bit of a thing going out there, and Jack Kulkai, but they didn't really amount to the world title stage. But yeah, when I saw the way every time Ajit Kabayel was punching, even just touching a man to the body, they're screaming, "Hey, hey," like they're doing Mexican waves. So they was really the Kurdistan lot, the Turkish lot, and I imagine there was some native Germans in there as well. They love a bit of boxing too. Why not?
Yeah, definitely hear it. So obviously you had like Lawrence Okoli, Tony Oka, Philip Hergovich was also over there. What's your kind of thoughts on basically what does Ajit do next? Because the one thing we can't have, and it's again no fault of his own, and maybe George Warren has realized now that we this might be a nice little money spinner for us, so they may do it, but we can't have another 11 months out of the ring. Like, what what do you reckon is next? Like, do you reckon he ends up managing to get an Usyk fight if Usyk doesn't get his Deontay Wilder showdown that he wants? Or do you feel like maybe a vacant title, or are you going to see someone like Mauricio Solomon like legitimize his interim title and then have him face Lawrence Okoli, for the next in line? Or how do you feel it plays out for him?
What I feel plays out. I think that Ajit is going to get the Usyk fight. One, because we know Usyk is a man who he's a road warrior. He travels to any man's backyard and he's rocking anyone in their garden. Um, and I think with this, I think I did say this before. I thought that they was going to use this show and fight as a test run to see if Ajit is a draw and can sell and can draw attention and attraction, and they also put this fight in on pay-per-view on the zone out there, because that woman who was in the ring, I don't know her name, but she seems like she's like the head of the zone Germany. So the way she's talking is that it was a success of a show, and this might be the thing that has now alerted maybe someone like Turkey Al Sheikh, Riyad Seeded, or even just the zone bosses in general, to say, do you know what? We're going to take a punt at this. This can sell in Germany. We could put Usyk and Ajit Kabayel in a German stadium, because Klitschko's used to do the stadiums out there, and they've got massive stadiums. I think they've got a bigger stadium than Wembley out there actually.
There
Um,
is one, yeah.
yeah, there is. So they can put this in a stadium out there, and they'll fill it out. Usyk's got a big fan base, and Ajit Kabayel has drawn enough attention. Brits love it. It's only a couple hours flight or whatever to over there, so they can get the attention needed. If Usyk did the one in Poland against Daniel Dubois the first time round, then they can put it out in Germany. I think this is going to be the fight, and then that's where I said it makes sense, where you now believe that Fabio Wardley is going to have his first defense against Derek Chisora, because Wardley's not going to get the Usyk uh, undisputed fight right now. So if Usyk fights Ajit Kabayel, then Fabio Wardley is left to defend against a Brit, and who none other than War Chisora. Do you know the dream story, eh?
Indeed. Shout out to Tone with the £10 super chat. Big ups to you, my guy. Thank you very much. The Greg's Meal Deal funds. Well, I will be spending it on something a lot more healthy than Greg's, but appreciate you. No, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. Oh, and just to let you know, Ra, October was here. You literally came in as she left out. So she is, yeah, she was here. She did the first half of the show.
Yeah, I was late, so don't be thinking that I've like been here the whole time.
Yeah,
No.
no, Danny is wrapping up the show. So okay, so look, last things. Let's talk about Subriel Matias, Dalton Smith. Now, obviously, I've had my say. October had her say. What's your thoughts? I felt that even though it was a good, I felt like I'm not arguing the knockout, but I do feel it was stopped early in my opinion personally. But at that aside, how did you find the fight? Like, did you feel like it looked at one point maybe the tide was turning back to Matthias, or did you always sort of have the confidence? Because I know that you picked Dalton to win by split decision, so you did think he would
I
manage.
didn't say split. I just said points. I
Oh,
didn't know
okay,
how. Didn't
fair
know
enough.
how. I just said points in
What
general.
did you think then?
Yeah. Well done for me for getting at least Dalton winning. But yeah, I thought it was a very good fight. It reminded me a bit of like when Ricky Hatton fought Costa Tszyu, and because Dalton come out, but obviously he was a bit more smart. I say Dalton with it. So he come out. People say he was boxing, but he was really slamming home the right hands from early, which I don't think the commentators was giving much credence to. But I guess they didn't really know Dalton, so they didn't want to really prop him up. So anything Matthias did, any little touching shots, it's now turning. When it's like, no, Dalton's really winning this round. He's. I felt that he hurt Subriel Matias even in that first round a couple of times. Really snapped his head back with some really solid right hands and hooks in there. The second round is when there's the sort of war started, so to speak, and I still gave Dalton Smith that round. I thought he got the better of the exchanges. The third round is when it was like, oh, okay, now he's because there was a point where he sort of got hit, and it definitely stunned him because he held his head down there and he looked frozen for a bit, Dalton, when Mateus hit him, and then Mateus, in my opinion, definitely got the third round, and was starting to hit the body and whack him around, and Dalton was definitely wobbled by then. So as I saw you say earlier, when he said, "Oh, I knew from the third round he couldn't hurt me," it was like, maybe you thought, okay, if this is your head probably told you, all right, this is the worst it can get. So now I'm just gonna really go for it. But you cannot say he can't hurt me, because you was definitely hurt. You got frozen at one point in there. And then the fourth round, it was just bit more of the same. And then obviously he landed a big shot, got him rocking, got him rolling, and then dropped him with a right hand, I believe. And then yeah, I just felt that it was premature, because yeah, he did a little wobble, got up, and then the ref just waved it off straight away. He didn't even give him a chance to see if his leg could recover in time. He just waved it straight off, and then Subriel Matias just looked sturdy as soon as he was frustrated and just went back down. He's like,
Yeah,
what?
slumped down and like almost like started crying on the ropes. Like, yeah.
Yeah, like what? Come on, man! Like I'm the champion. You ain't even giving me a chance. Like, like come on. But to me, the refing all weekend was just crazy. It was just bad refing. I've got to go through some of these, man.
Go for it. You go for it.
Like, all right, we'll start with first of all, Alonso Berardi versus Miloslav Savic at cruiserweight. And I remember Alonso Berardi lost to Alloys on points before, and it was a cruiserweight fight. It got to the fourth round. Alonso drops Savic with a shot, and then he decides to, whilst he's on his knee, punch him in the face 3 times, like clean. And then, like, I'm just thinking, Savage, you need to just fall on your face and just get him DQ'd. But no, he just like looked at the ref like, what? Like, he's hit me 3 times, and the ref's just counting him out, and counting him out, and everyone's like, what's? Everyone's just booed like straight away. Everyone's online, DQ, DQ. Even Adam Booth say everyone's just saying that's a blatant DQ. I don't know if you saw it, but that was just terrible. This was on the German show, by the way, in the
Right.
early fights. Then there was Granit Shala versus Peter
Milas.
Milas, against the Croatian Milas, who is 20-0, 16 in knockouts, and
Yeah.
18-2 now with 7 KOs. German, who has Albanian parents from Kosovo. The way that Shala fights, because the thing is, he already got knocked out before by one Ukrainian who's about 6'9" before. But the way he punches is like he's punching like he's a puncher. I'm like, but I can see you're not a puncher. So why are you fighting like you're a puncher? And to me, he got into way too many exchanges in the fight with Milas, who was just very sturdy, just sort of workmanlike about his work. And it was a good scrap. They had quite a lot of good exchanges. And Shala, because he looks more aerodynamic, even though his head's rocking around a lot in those exchanges, it just looks like his punches are looking good. So one could have probably maybe even had him up going into that 10th round. But then in that 10th round, he had an exchange and got caught with it was a left hook, I believe, and he just went down. Then all right, fair enough. He's got up. To me, that's fine. Then he's got on the ropes. He's got punched up, like his head's rocking and rolling. I'm going like because I was at Craig was having a family get together to celebrate. Obviously, he's winning that. Obviously, the New Year's because he ain't been. He's had to lock off everyone and sort of zone in. So
Yeah.
I'm like, look at this. Like, all right, this is time to ref got to get in there a bit, mate. Then he's jabbed Granit Shala, and Shala's like proper rocked on his heels. Like we're like, oh come on, he's all over the place from a jab. And then Milas has looked at the ref and gone, come on, ref, like you can stop this now. He's done. Refs looked at him, signaled, yeah, fight on, and he just gave him a basic, all right, basic 1-2, and just the way my man's dropped in slow motion, like he was on the Fight Night game. I just thought, wow. And then I thought, come on, now this is definitely toasted. The refs counting. Well, come on, man, stop this. What is this ref doing? Towel's gone in, ref still counting. I'm like, this guy's trying to get my man like murked or something.
Well, to be fair, he didn't see the towel going because it was behind him, and no one actually shouted to say like, "Ref, forget it." Like they didn't. They just threw it in. Like he didn't see it.
Yeah, but I just thought, come on, ref, man.
No, but you know what? One thing I'll say, and I agree with you, it was bad. But I would much rather someone do that and try to give him every opportunity, and also give him a clean knockout because he reached 10 and he can't in his finish.
Yeah.
Whereas we don't get a lot of 10 counts anymore, so everyone gets the TKO. And it's like, no, I want the knockout on my record. You got knocked out, could not make the count of 10. So I understand, don't get me wrong, it was bad. But I would much rather that than the Howard Foster method of refereeing, personally.
Yeah. And then obviously we had the main event with then we had Jadia Herrera versus Ricardo Nunes. This was the actual fight I was looking forward to on the card, other than the main event. Yeah. And then in the first round, Jadia got dropped where Nunes hit him with a jab and a right hook, and Herrera went down. I didn't actually know that his granddad was a former Olympic champion, Angel Herrera, but so that was interesting to know. And then Herrera got on his boxing, was doing well with his counter punches. He landed a big right hand in the 4th round, which snapped Nunes' head back. Nunes landed a big body shot in the 5th. I gave Nunes the 6th and 7th, even though it was closer than Herrera in the 8th. Landed a right hook that rocked Nunes, followed up with a flurry. The ref jumped in, but the ref's legs are just clearly old, and he fell over, skin out on the floor. And then he got up very embarrassed and waved, and then Herrera decides to start roaring like because I don't think he was worried that he might be in trouble for throwing the ref on the floor. So that was embarrassing reffing. Then obviously in the main event.
Sorry, just before you go to the main event, that's another fight where I understand maybe why it was waved off, or, refs embarrassment aside, but that's another one. I still feel like Nunes could have been given a little bit extra because yes, he got two punches that looked like they took him out of his senses, but he snapped back from each punch pretty quickly. And
Yeah.
so I feel like he looked like he was still lucid after that second punch when he was stepping back. So I feel that's another one. Maybe he could have been given a little bit of extra time. But
Yeah,
you
I
know,
do as well. But I
yeah,
think the ref's embarrassment thought, oh, do you know what? I've got to wave this off. That I can't. I've got to get to the back.
yeah,
So yeah, I thought that was a little early as well. And then the main event with Hadjit Kabayel versus where is it?
Damian Kanebo.
Yeah, Yamin Kaniba. The first round I gave to Kaniba, definitely hitting Caballero sort of at will, big right hands, decent, good uppercuts and stuff. Cut Caballero over the eyelid. The second round, Caballero started to get to work, hitting with the body, even though even some of them weren't even landing. Even the ones that were getting blocked to the elbows, the crowd was screaming like, "Whoa!" Um, Landed some good right hands and stuff like that. But Kaniba took those shots well. Some of the body shots I could see thinking, oh, that kind of hurts. But then the third round, the body shots really started getting to work. Couple of chopping rights. Yeah, he rocked and rolled a little bit, but I don't think it was enough warranted for a 12-round fight in a main event to get waved off at that precise moment. I think he should have let at least a few more digs go in because I thought that was a bit early. But then once again, but it was a British referee to be fair, so um, what can we expect? So to me, I
Well, to
just
be
thought,
fair, look, Mark Lyson's one of the better ones. He's one of the few that I actually like. So
yeah, so do I. But that was to me that was a bit early, especially for a man who's undefeated, is a puncher, and it is a main event. I thought it was a bit early, that one. Also, another fact I wanted to drop in as well. I know a lot of people talking about with the Matthias Dalton Smith fight. They was thinking that was the first time that Matthias got dropped in his career, but he did get dropped by Petros Anyan, the Armenian Russian, when he beat Matthias on points, and that was on the Wilder Fury 2 card, I remember. So yeah,
yeah, that was after the Dadashev thing,
yeah,
after that incident.
yeah.
So
But, Matthias did beat him in the rematch.
yeah, brutally as well.
Yeah,
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 I remember that fight. But no, I hear it. I hear it. But look, overall, it was a decent weekend. I mean, for the start of January, a month that historically isn't big on a lot of events because they know people are coming out of that Christmas and New Year period. It just seems like almost now it's almost becoming a little bit like August. I've found like January, like they used to be the 2 months: January, August, no boxing, and
mm,
it's just like those are like the off seasons. But it's almost like now people are finding opportunities to kind of get as out on cards that are quieter, not as much money invested into them, but because it's now they've kind of got their own run of the place. It's like where sometimes they used to have films and there's certain times of films that they don't put out, but then you realize, now that there's no January or February, we put our film there, we ain't got no competition. So
yeah,
we'll be the people, we'll be the film everyone goes to see. It's looking that way now with the boxing, and I feel like Ajit's really benefit from that. And also because he's now been out so soon, there's absolutely no reason why he can't fight 3/4 times this year. Like if a new way can do it, there's ample times. Okay, you escape the Ramadan months or whatnot, but outside of that, there's ample time to be able to do another 2 or 3 fights. If you've got one that's a bit more of easier touch, and then maybe a harder one, then maybe another lighter touch towards the end of the year or something like that. It's always good to kind of start the year early if you can, because then
yeah,
you
early
stay
possible.
active, and then you get more money in your pocket. I mean, who doesn't like more money?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I think it's a good look for him, and it's a good wave where you can get some good German prospects or German based fighters, or even those, as I said before, those from Turkish backgrounds, Syrian, Kurdistan descents, because there's a lot of big population out there of in Germany. So you can put them on the cards and fill it up, and you'll have a great stadium fight.
Yeah, I hear it. All right. So last thing before we wrap up with regard to that. So obviously Dalton is now. I think it's clear, or at least it should be evident that he's pretty much now clear of Adam Azim. But Adam is fighting at the end of the month. He's fighting Gustavo Limos. Um, Ben has Ben was doing the rounds earlier, basically saying, look, I mean, this is IBF. I think it's like I said, it's like a final eliminator to become the mandatory for the IBF title, and he's still basically trying to position Adam Azim as, I guess, the A side of those two if a potential fight were to happen. Um, what's your thoughts though on the Azim and Smith dynamic, if the fight possibly happens or anything like that?
Um, I don't think Azim's going to fight him anytime soon. Not that he doesn't necessarily want to fight, because fighters usually don't mind to fight. And Adam will probably think, even if I did lose, I'm young enough to come back again. But maybe his handlers, like his trainer and his manager, i.e. the McGuigans and Ben Shalom, wouldn't want to risk. They're because now their main face of the company, due to various fighters leaving or whatever, or losing fights so far already in the two BBC shows, should I say, sorry. So they wouldn't want to risk him. And then even when you're talking about purse bids, the likelihood is that Adam Azim will end up having to fight on a Matchroom card on the zone against Dalton Smith, because we know Eddie will definitely put in a pretty penny to win that purse bid for that type of fight. So Adam, I don't know what he's going to do after this current fight, providing he wins, which I expect him to. But I think it's very much established that Dalton Smith is the daddy for him, and I think that Adam needs to just probably allow talking about him and say, "Watch when I'm ready," because I know he sent a couple of, spicy words for him, but he might just need to keep quiet and just get down and doing his own thing if he ain't ready to fight him.
I hear it. I hear it. Okay. Before we wrap up, obviously, myself and October was just sort of chopping things up a little bit before the show. But is there any other business? Is there any talks that you've heard? Is there anything that you've seen that you want to quickly address, or any exclusives you want to break, or just anything at all that you want to sort of state before we get out of here tonight?
No, just I am looking to go and watch that Prince Nassim film. Either probably.
Giant. Yeah, I saw it yesterday.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I want to see it either this week or next week. So I definitely want to see it very soon. I know all the interviews with him, with the other people and stuff like that, and other people like Johnny Nelson and Dominic Ingle. They're really interesting. Prince Nassim Hamed was my favorite fighter growing up from a kid in primary and secondary school. I did used to try and emulate him a lot. So yeah, it's good to see something like that and all the talk around it. And then also, it's a bit of a shame. I see earlier today Lawrence Okoli suffering some racist abuse from what it looks like to be the Kurdish fans of Ajit Kabayel. I saw Dillian White did a little sort of cussed him in general, but I don't think that was anything to do with the racial abuse. But yeah, I just think that there's no place for that in boxing. We need to punch that type of thing out of boxing, and those people need to be hopefully found and banned from attending any type of fights, or just blocked accounts, really, because there's no need for that. All Lawrence did is went out there and asked for a fight, which, what's wrong with that? You just ask him for a fight. He didn't disrespect him or cuss him or anything like that. He was just saying he wants a fight. He even wore a Kurdish skinned mink, it looked quite fashionable, paying homage. And yeah, people just need to calm themselves down a bit.
Yeah, and look, one thing about that, not even getting into all of that, because look, it's something we all seen, experienced, and know about. But I do want anyone watching to definitely distinguish between stupid supporters, like ignorant people, and then like the actual fighter that they support, because both myself and Danny have been around Ajit Kabayel on numerous occasions. He is a great man. Like, he's not a guy that is for any of that. He's not any way inclined nasty. He's the kind of guy that will give you all of his time that he has available at any given moment, even when he's not comfortable speaking certain languages and whatnot. He's never given anyone a bad look of any denomination that isn't Kurdish. So
No.
yes, just to make sure everyone knows that he may have some unscrupulous or some ignorant, stupid fans. He does not align himself with them, and nor should he be held to. Basically, he shouldn't be the one that has to hold up the standard for them either. Just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I know quite a few Kurdish people, and I met Ajik quite a few times, and his handlers, and they're cool. They just all they ask is, "Oh, can you just make it basic English?" Because I do like to use my big vernacular, and which I have
Yeah,
confused
I
a few
keep telling you about that with the foreign fighters.
yeah. So they're like, just keep it basic, please. None of that fancy stuff, please. So yeah, no, but he's cool, and most fans are cool. Do you know what I mean? But there's always those incels and people who probably had a couple of lines and too many Heinekens. So yeah, it is what it is.
All right. Well, look, ladies and gentlemen, let's leave it there. It's been a good show, a nice little short one again. I want to thank everyone who is in the chat and that has been communicating. We have seen quite a few of the comments. Haven't really been able to put many of them up just to try and keep the length of the shows down. But we do appreciate, and obviously anything that is relevant, we will always highlight and give due credit. And I have seen that there has been some supportive comments in there. So anyone watching back on the replays should be able to see that. But yeah, Danny, I know we had to get you ring ready from last week, but I feel like you should be back in shape now. Go for it. Sign us up.
And there you have it, guys. It's another episode of Fight Talk Live. It's Danny Glover. It's Base the Kid. It's October Red. And remember, guys, persistence beats resistance. You know where it is.
He's back, ladies and gentlemen. He's back. Peace.